Ready to unlock the secrets of watercolor magic? Today on Artefacto, we are thrilled to present a watercolor masterclass with Ong Kim Seng, an artist whose work inspires millions. Let's dive in.
So as I go along, I don't just stick to the one color. So there are other colors in the tiles itself. Because we don't see green as a green. Green as in many shades and in many values, which is quite similar to burnt sienna. Burnt sienna. You see, when I mix it, it becomes a very dark gray. So the existence of burnt orange is no longer there. It's not there. It's not there. You see, but if you were to ask people, how do you get this color? So it's a mixture. Of course, through a lot of trial and error and years of experience painting it, you almost by instinct start to mix certain colors when you see a scene. Okay, this scene is this, and I know that this scene is going to be this color. So that's how I gather the technicalities of mixing colors. Okay. Then I use lavender for some shades on top, from some shades, those shades here, those shades just below here. Can you see it clearly? Yeah. Those shades. This is what we call the very traditional method of painting watercolor, to do it very transparent, making it very, very transparent. You see, I still use ultramarine and burnt orange. I use ultramarine or French ultramarine. You may want to ask what's the difference between French ultramarine and ultramarine blue. Actually, I don't have the answer. Maybe you have to look up. I mean, they are just colors, and maybe different tone. Maybe you have a different tone. Maybe one is off green and this one is off blue. So sometimes you can see ultramarine blue tone. They sell it in that way. So I'm using the same gray. I'm using the same gray for this. But at the same time, I fuse it with some warmer colors, which is the burnt orange. Actually, you have a palette of many colors, but you don't really use all of them. So you don't use all the colors. So you can see that some painters, when they approach a scene and they look at the scene, they study the scene, and they start to press colors from the tube according to some of the colors which he think would be used for his painting. So normally we don't press all the color at home and go to the scene. By the time we go to the scene, oh my God, these are not the colors I'm going to use. Then you got stuck there, you know. But normally we will have the basic colors, the basic colors, the yellows, the orange, and the browns, and the blues. Some people use very little color, very, very little colors. They don't have to use so many colors. Maybe they use a very small palette, you know, like the Craig Young palette that is invented by Craig Young. So I'm using lavender now for the gate. I'll leave the red box later on, the post box, which is actually a mark, a very important mark of the building. It's a symbol of this building here.
I hope you're enjoying this watercolor lesson. On our channel, we always share watercolor lessons from the world's top artists. And today, we have something special for you. Follow the link in the video description and sign up for a free online masterclass with another global watercolor star.
You see, normally we don't shade it so much when we do the initial sketching for watercolor. We just put in some lines there, maybe just to signify the shadows or some very darker area. Now for this scene, as you can see from the photo just now, there is no shadows because the sunlight of the day is not that strong, so there's no distinctive shadows that you see. So far, okay. Any question?
No,
This is
no questions so far.
this is
Thank you.
actually the first layer. So definitely not so much question. It's just only the first layer. So as we go along, there may be other things where you can say, why did you do this? Why you apply this? You know, so that may be one question that you've been puzzling all the time, or you may want to ask some question if you have seen my painting before and say, okay, you apply certain technique in certain paintings, and in this painting I don't see it. Why? You know, can ask questions like that. So these lines I'm going to omit because there are certain things that I don't add in. Not because they are not important, but they shouldn't be there. Huh? In my view, they shouldn't be there. So you have the right because you are the director, you are the master over the painting. You're the master here, so you call the shot. Nobody can take it away because you have all the freedom of expression here. Now, this I'm using a color called translucent orange before, and it's made by Rotterdam or Smithy, and it now is called transparent orange, which I find very useful because it can go along with many other colors, and it is simple to use because when you add with a dark, you place the role of burnt sienna or burnt orange. It plays the role, you know. You see here there is a I think the electrical box here. I moved the tree over and cover it because I don't find it nice there. So I take away the electricity box from the painting. So that's what I'm saying about, you know, you can always add and subtract. Most important, you have to control the scene. That's why sometimes when I paint outdoor, those people who crowd around me and see me painting, they say, "Hey, how come you don't have this? Why did you do this?" Making it a bit more like a sap green. You know, you have sap green, but sap green will come a little later. Will be the first wash. And I use cadmium yellow. Here, cadmium yellow to mix. And with lemon yellow. Lemon yellow tends to be very bright, very, very bright. Sometimes for certain scenes, I wet the paper, especially those that have a lot of water, that have the lake or the sea. I tend to wet the paper first because I know I'm going to cover large areas, of a kind of fluid effect. See, I also mix the Australian turquoise onto my yellow and it produces a different green. There's a lot of fusion going on here. So when I paint, I mix the color all the time. I mix different colors that produce, because I don't see color as one. I see them as many formations, different formations in the colors, and they turn out all different because you can see from real life. If you were to study carefully, it's not just a certain color that is always there all the time. There's a lot of difference. Now I add in the sap green. See, when you get sap green in, it's a different story now. It tends to be darker, and this is fresh sap green. Right. So some yellow little parasites here on the tree. And some more plants here, palms. Okay, so you introduce the orange here before you apply to the dark areas. There's a connection between here and here. So you don't break away this color too much from this side so that you can see the continuation. Okay. So this is very important here. You leave this color here. Don't wash it away yet. If you paint a bigger picture and you can't finish, don't wash this away. Don't wash it away, because once you wash it away, you have to mix and you remember what color you do. That's why when you ask me what color I mix, because as I go along, there will be many other colors coming in. And sometimes without you realizing it, you found a new color. So That's the beauty of painting watercolor. As you mix along, you almost lose control, and lose control can become a happy accident. In watercolor, we always talk about happy accidents. Huh? Hey, hello, Andy. The light off. Yeah. How come? The light. I hope they can see it. What happened now? Not important, huh? Okay, then you can leave it, leave it, leave it. If it's not important, then leave it. Don't worry, don't worry. Oh my God, such happened. Now I use some Indian yellow for the top, palm tree, Indian yellow. I mix with raw sienna. I mean, for those living in the Mediterranean, you see a lot of palm trees as well. I don't know about modern Northern Europe. I don't think there's any palm trees over there. But I know in the Mediterranean, like in Turkey, and some of the North African countries, they have palm trees. Okay, now I will go back and paint the areas which I consider as the focal point. Yeah? See, painting plein air can be fun, but painting plein air sometimes can be quite risky. If you see a scene, there is a very interesting and very nice, but only from that angle. But that angle can be very precarious. It can be very dangerous, if you paint in that place. But you like the scene from there. Of course, you can easily take a camera and shoot the scene and paint it at home, but it's nothing like painting there on the spot. You feel it, you can feel it, and you can experience the scene as the light changes, As you can see, the movement that's been taking place in that area. So painting scenes from the spot and painting from a photo is different. I always find difficulty in getting certain dark areas from the photograph, because all the underlying areas, I can't see them. So you have to imagine and you have to start guessing what is behind it. So if you are preparing to paint at home and take a photo, it's important to take very close, very important to take all the areas, cover all the areas. If you need, yes, right. You're saying yes.
There is a question. Is it important to think about the rule of thirds when playing your focal point?
Yes, of course. Yeah. You have to find the source also, and you get to express as much as possible when you're covering the focal point, because that is the area that you want to show. That is the area that you want to express to the fullest. Yeah. I hope I answer your question. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Because I can't see people asking questions from here, I can see. Only
That's
you
why
can see.
I'm reading them out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the only one. How many are there participating in this workshop? How many? Okay. So again, lavender, ultramarine, burnt orange to get back your gray. Okay. I think gray color is a very friendly color. You can go along with any other colors. You add with, or when you are just standing by the side as a friend, So the gray color is always a very friendly color. Some people can paint just quite a monochrome painting, using just gray and all the earthen colors, very gray, and it looks fantastic. Looks very nice. Now I'm using a bit of black here. It can be any black, because sometimes the watercolor you got to avoid just plain black. But in this case, I'm adding the black to your lavender and your burnt orange, and still turn out to be a very dark gray, almost like a very dark blue, almost like Prussian blue. See, like almost like Prussian blue. Mhm. See, at the moment, there is still no overlay, no overpainting, just only one color, just one color on the paper. There's no second glazing yet. No second glazing. Just only the first glaze. But of course, I mix it before I apply on the paper. Some people ask me whether I mix the color on the palette or I mix the color on the paper. I use both. Sometimes I mix the color on the paper as well. Like this, okay? I'm going to mix it on the paper. But here, I already mixed some on the palette. So both ways, we use both ways. Now, regarding strokes, sometimes we can use better short strokes. Sometimes we can use longer and broader strokes, depending on what sort of plants, you see, and what sort of effect you want it to be. Maybe the wind blowing onto the plant, or maybe some plants are withering. So different kind of approach you can have when you are painting scenes like this. These days, the Winsor and Newton brushes are lower cost than before. In the old days, they were very expensive. I don't know, but someone told me that the hair they use are not as good as before. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Pardon? Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you usually get your art supplies? What is your favorite art store?
Oh, in Singapore, I go to Street Art. Street Art is a very old art shop, actually. I think it's the first art shop in Singapore. And now it's the oldest art shop. And the other one is Art Friend. Art Friend is another art store in Vietnam and in Malaysia. And one's called Overjoy. There's another art shop called Overjoy. But I frequent street art more often than the other two. More because they are friendly, and in fact, when I started painting, that was the first shop. That was the first shop I went, and they actually helped me with regards to the materials. They were very helpful actually. The owner, the first owner of the shop, and also his staff, especially people like Joke, people like Mr. Tan. These are very helpful people. They have since retired, and some already passed off. I think a scene is how you create it. Not that so there's nothing for us to paint. A lot of artists complain that in Singapore there are not many things to paint nowadays, but there are still. I mean, depending on how you look at it, how you perceive it. Yeah, to a foreign artist, I invite them to Singapore and they were painting with me. They like Singapore. They say, oh, there are so many things to paint. Try not to repeat the color when you draw two lines. Try not to repeat it. Change the color as well as the temperature. Change it. Yeah, these designs on the tiles here is quite important. That's why when I go to a scene, I will study the design of the tiles as well. And they are quite important to the whole complete picture formation. And these will be the shadows top. The shadows forms the top, and a little bit of ultramarine on top, on the corners, because the corner will weigh a bit heavier than the side. Okay. See, it goes in, it protrudes into the wall. Now for the little pots and pots here. Plants. Maybe we add some orange flowers for this. Make it nice for decorative purposes. Lines. Now comes the shadow of the trees. I use ultramarine, and again I use burnt orange for very dark gray. Okay. The shadow of the tree, yeah. Tree shadows. For this, I use a bit of dry brush. Show the then you have the shadows on the plants. Create some shadows on the plants. So I think it's quite important to shows the time of a day when you paint a painting. You see that what time is it supposed to be? This is maybe about 11:30, 11:45 in the morning. And you have a very strong sunlight. So I have a book called Light and Shade in watercolor painting because I love shades. I love the light. So I use some dry brush for the weathered. See, this is actually a lifted up area in on the road by the side actually to prevent the flood. You know, sometimes you have flood in Singapore. I think by now you should know what sort of darks I use and what are the color I mix to get the dark. Huh? I can see also, I can answer, hey, which one, this one. Hmm? What happened now? They put it. Hey, what happened now? Oh, oh, oh. Wait. Can't see. Going to a Zoom. How to go back to the Zoom? You can see. These people are just sending messages. Okay.